Hi, thanks for joining us. I'm here with my colleague, Brad Barth, who's one of our expert attorneys, asset protection, estate planning, business planning. And Brad, you and I were talking offline. I just want to jump into it about the company you founded and run, Entity Maintenance Service. November's a big month. There's a lot of pain points going on. Tell us about what's happening with the company.
Great. So thanks, Paul. First, let me go ahead and define what actually is EMS, or you refer to as Entity Maintenance Services.
Please.
And actually what this is, it's a company that I did create probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. And what it basically does, it kind of solves a problem that my clients had. You called it a pain point. It's actually a very good visual of what it actually is, because for almost 30 years, my office has been creating various entities for our clients for a variety of purposes. And you've heard me on videos previously explain some of the reasons why in the various jurisdictions that we use. And it becomes housekeepingly complicated for our clients when they're dealing with an LLC in this state that's registered over in this state, and you have another LLC over here in this state, and you got a trust over here in this state. And so your clients start getting inundated with the housekeeping items, and it becomes burdensome. And so they've turned to me over the years and says, Brad, I love what you've done for me from an asset protection, from a legal perspective, but you've created a housekeeping nightmare for me. Do you have a solution? And so after a lot of trial and error, the solution is EMS, which is Entity Maintenance Services. And effectively what this is that we basically go through our clients, and this is basically a Barth Calderon exclusive. We go ahead and take a look at our client's overall entity structure that we've put together, and we come up with basically a compliance calendar. Entity 1, 2, 3, 4, trust 1, 2, all the various states, all the various due dates that could be peppered throughout the course of the year in all different jurisdictions. And I come up and say, Paul, okay, listen, your annual filing fees are going to be about $2,000. So give me the $2,000. I'll put that $2,000 in trust for you. And as each filing date is due, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 per entity, and regardless of when in the course of the year or what state it's done in, my office then will go ahead and pay that for you. We'll use the funds that we have in escrow or in trust account for you, and use those to pay the filing fees for you.
Brad, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure, yeah.
When you say, so that one of the pain points you take away is that the labor of maintenance and something going wrong.
Right.
So you handle it 100%.
Right.
But if they screw up the maintenance,
right.
I mean, why is that such a big deal? What could potentially happen?
Yeah, that gets back to the very basic points, right? So let's get back to, why do you even create an entity? You create an entity because you're trying to limit your liability, limit your risk. And that liability shield is only present to the extent that the entity is in good standing. Mm. So if the entity falls out of good standing, and how does that happen? It really only happens in one way, absent your own behaviors, but just by itself, by operation of law. If the entity isn't maintained, meaning you simply aren't paying the filing fees. And this is what happens. It falls out of good standing. It goes into suspended status in states, and then it could even become forfeited, because basically it becomes legally dissolved. And what happens is, and this is the rude awakening, is that the client may not be aware of this, and then they have the liability. Then they have the slip and fall in the apartment building, or whatever the case may be. And then they get sued, and they say, well, I have an entity. Unbeknownst to them, the entity is not in good standing, and that liability falls on them. So they may be working and living in this false sense of security that they have these limited liability shields around them, when in fact they don't exist because the entities fell out of good standing.
Got it.
And so EMS ensures that that entity stays in good standing. It doesn't mean it stays in compliance with its minutes and things. We don't offer that type of service. This is just a service. It's a keeping the entity in good standing with the various states. Okay.
Yeah. And the key here is that it could get a bit cumbersome if they have multiple entities.
Right. Right.
And is there a monthly report or accounting? How do they know they're organized?
Right. Thank you. Yeah. So what happens here is so as I mentioned before, we take like the one lump sum we basically work on a calendar year. We go from January to December, and this is going to come back to your why is November an important date. So we basically are working on a calendar year. So let's just say, as I mentioned, we have $2,000 of fees that's going to take place between January 1st and December 31st of 2020. I put all that money into escrow. Now, on a monthly basis, Barth Agency Services, BAS, who is the actual parent company that offers this EMS service, will send our clients a monthly accounting so they can see how much money remains inside their escrow account, inside their trust funds. And then any activity that happened in any given month is going to be itemized, because they're going to see $350 deduction for state of Nevada, agent of service of process, $115 for Delaware. They're going to see a California statement of good standing, statement of information, $20. They're going to see what happens. So not only are they going to have a record on a monthly basis from an invoicing point of view, but also when we file these things throughout the course of the month or throughout the course of the year, we will actually send you the actual receipts. Okay, Paul, here is your filed statement of information with California that took place on February 2nd. So there it is. So not only will you get that email delivered to you, we also will see it replicated inside the monthly accounting statements.
And what legal entities are covered? It's not just LLCs. What's the breadth of it?
Yeah, pretty much it's almost all entities, right? So we cover, most of our clients have various forms of LLCs, that's limited liability companies. We also cover corporations. It doesn't matter if it's an S or C, it's pretty much a corporation. Limited partnerships don't need it so much, but we also do trusts and various forms of trusts. It could be asset protection trusts. There can be privacy-oriented trusts that have ongoing fees associated with that. So we try to maintain all those areas. But the majority of them, it's LLCs, corporations, and trusts. Those are the three main forms of entities at EMS services.
And I think the initial compliance assessment that the company does for people is awesome because, correct me if I'm wrong, but what comes in is we'll do an initial audit, the team will, of their existing entities to make sure that everything's in good standing. We'll go out and organize it, piece it together, and then give them a proposal assessment saying, okay, here's what you got, here's what it looks like. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and that's why, again, going back to why November, we're 6 weeks out right now from 2020. And not only do we take a look at we call it a compliance calendar. So it's what we said, it's the assessment. We take a look at all the client's entities with an eye on 2020. Well, we certainly can't do that without realizing what took place in 2019. And so many times, again, now that we're pretty much getting into mid-November here, a client may have missed a filing in March. They may have missed a filing in July. They may have missed a filing in October, and they don't even know that. But when we're looking at, well, what's with 2020, we're going to see on the various state websites, okay, well, what's with 2020? You still haven't paid 2019 yet. So when we come with our initial proposal for our clients, especially for those that are doing it for the very first time, not only are you getting a prospective, this is what your fees are going to be for 2020. Oh, but by the way, you're also delinquent, and let's bring you up to speed for 2019. As well. So it basically catches some of those loose ends that may have occurred throughout the course of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. So I say the call to action now, end of the year, is for people to jump in, get your complimentary compliance assessment done by us, and just get a level of calm that you're taken care of. I mean, I think that's the call to action.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, Brad. Thank you so much. Great information.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Thank you.